Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. This is our take. My name is Ocean.
I'm Taylor.
And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring to you our final impressions of Netflix's original series titled The Witcher Blood Origin. A couple episodes ago, we did our initial impressions of the show, and we're going to bring to you guys our final impressions now, because there's only 4 episodes.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't watch it all at once.
Yeah, which we probably could have, but it's all right. Gives us a chance to really, flesh out what we want to talk about because, this one is not good, unfortunately. So, we're gonna do this traditional fashion, spoiler free, score spoilers. All right, spoiler free section. I'm sorry, Netflix. You have been doing well lately. You've had a pretty decent track record lately, but this was not it. This was a fail, in my opinion. I don't know if it's unwatchable. I don't know. We'll probably have to flesh that out in the spoiler section. But it was not good. So, I don't know, Taylor. How did you feel about the Blood Origin story?
I'll try to keep this brief because I'd rather just talk it out in the spoilers.
Yeah.
But I do want to say I still stand by a lot of the thoughts that I had in the first episode. However, the rest of this show kind of just flops for me.
Yeah, meaning that you felt like there was potential that could have been decent, but then after the first episode, it just kind of
it just pretty much just drops.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on the actual lore part, about who ended up being the first Witcher and whatnot, because I don't know that stuff from the game. So I'm curious to know what your thoughts are about that. So, I think this spoiler section, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be pretty good. Taylor, if somebody has not watched this show yet, do you think that they should watch it?
If you don't know anything about The Witcher and you've literally only seen the Netflix show,
so me, somebody like me, that has never played the games or knows anything about the lore,
and even that, you're not super enticed with what actually happens, and you're just kind of watching because it's a generic fantasy type of movie.
Yeah,
you might find some entertainment in this, but overall, I think for most people, this is probably just going to be disappointing.
Yeah. As somebody that has never played the games and doesn't know the whole lore behind The Witcher and whatnot, I would also agree that it might not really be worth watching. Might be worth just listening to our episode so you know what happens and you understand, because it's obviously going to come to play, I'm sure, at some point in the regular Witcher series going forward. Which that's a whole nother topic in and of itself, because Henry Cavill.
Rest in peace.
But if you're probably better off just listening to our episode and just listening to us talk about it, because it's, as far as a show goes, as far as acting and functionality and storytelling, I don't think it's that good. Apart from whether or not it's good lore and it does things right by The Witcher. If I'm separating that and I'm just looking at the fundamentals of filmmaking or in this case TV show, I still don't think it's very good. There's a lot of subpar acting, a lot of plot holes, a lot of things that just are not good for something like this, especially in a fantasy genre show. So my recommendation, ladies and gentlemen, listen to the episode. Listen to us talk shit about all the bad things. I'll make sure that I mention all of the important stuff so that you guys get an idea of what happened and you know what happened. But yeah, I don't recommend wasting 4 hours of your time on this show.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're gonna tell you why it sucked. We're gonna tell you what happened and who the first Witcher was. So this is your official
spoiler alert.
Oh shoot, we forgot scores. My bad.
Oh, okay.
That's my fault. My bad. But scores. I'm at like a 4. Like there's some cool fight scenes, and you know, um, the the last like the monster dying was like kind of cool. You know,
Yeah, there's
it was,
it's not unwatchable,
yeah,
but it's not good. It's not good.
yeah. So
So yeah, I think 4 is a fair score, and I would agree it's a 4,
4. All right,
below average.
yeah, but a little bit below average. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, this is your official
Spoiler alert, for real.
this time. Okay, let's just for those of you that haven't watched it, ladies and gentlemen, this is your first Witcher.
Feel.
Fiel was your first Witcher, which you actually kind of alluded to that he's really the only one that made sense in the initial impressions. But you also had mentioned that the first Witcher wasn't supposed to be an elf.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you feel about the fact that Fiel ended up being the first Witcher and the way that they went about making their first Witcher? So maybe you can kind of elaborate on how the first Witcher came to be, and then tell us what your thoughts are as it pertains to the fact that you know the lore and I don't.
Well, some of it. I haven't read the books or anything, but I haven't even played through all of the games yet. Well, yeah, because really, let's be real, Witcher 3 is the best one. But I really liked that Fjol. You know, I said that I thought he was, and he is,
Yeah.
and I like that still. The problem is everything else that surrounds it. I don't like the fucking weird, stupid, fucking love thing that happens in the end.
Between Fial and Eiley.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like it just came completely out of left field, and I was like, "I don't believe any of this, and I don't know why it's here. It makes no sense. There's nothing that even happens between them enough to make it believable that they would fall in love with each other. They have all the reasons to not like each other, which in the beginning they do, and then for some reason they're just like, "Oh, but I love you."
I think that was kind of the point, was that they're rival clans. They just don't like each other for whatever reasons, but just somehow they ended up falling in love with each other, which I don't agree with it. I like, it's not, I don't know, it's not horrible, but it's just kind of like, all right, well, that was, I don't think was necessary. However, going forward in the story of like when he was made into the Witcher and whatnot, I don't think that the story would have worked without them being entangled. You know what I mean? Like,
I
he
mean,
wouldn't have been able to.
only for what they ended up showing
Right.
on screen.
I don't
sure.
think he would have been able to control himself within the confines of the story that they portrayed had he not had her to help him maintain his control.
Yeah, but that's only because they wrote it that way.
Right.
I do think there could have been a much better way of doing this. I don't mind the fact that they're like two different clans and they end up falling in love because
Sure.
it's not an uncommon thing.
Right.
We see it in a lot of things like
The
fucking
Romeo and Juliet
Yeah, exactly.
factor. Yeah.
The problem is they don't have any arc or development between them or story, whatever the fuck
Right.
happened for us to get to that point. They just skip straight to the point,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh, they're in love." I'm just like, "Why?"
I think
Because the only adventure they've been on is this quest that they're on right now, and they don't do a whole lot. And it's like the way it's shot, it almost feels like they've only been knowing each other for like a few days.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sure it took longer than that.
Right.
But the problem is we don't see it that way. So why the hell am I supposed to believe that these two characters just fall in love? And yes, it does play an important fact later, but that's again just kind of adds to the fact that it's so bad.
Right.
And it just makes it worse as the story goes on.
Yeah, I think leaving their love story up to insinuation based off of the adventure that they had to have gone through, like to get from all the points that we see along their adventure, because we don't see everything, right? It jumps between them and
It jumps all over the place.
the mages and all this other stuff. So there's insinuation that they go through things as they go along this adventure, but to leave their love story that plays a major part in the final climax of the show up to your imagination based off of the fact that they were to, go on this adventure together is poor storytelling, in my opinion.
It just completely pulls you out of the characters and like immersion.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, talk to me a little bit about how The Witcher was actually made. Like what they did to make The Witcher.
Visually, it's like partially what I would expect for creating the first Witcher. They kind of like, again, that's kind of like the whole thing. I say it feels just like a bullet point where they're like something happens, they do this, and then he's a Witcher. So they're supposed, they have this like weird mixture elixir thing, whatever the fuck
Which is
that they
made out of what
create.
though?
Well, typically it has like I can't remember the exact name, but it's like it's not, I don't think it's God, but there's like a flower, a specific flower that,
The elder
or elder
flower
flower,
powder.
yeah, that gets used, and that's one ingredient of many that gets mixed in, and they give it to him, and it's supposed to be like transforming into a Witcher is supposed to take a long time. Like it's not a
Well, hold on, pause. Are we talking about like the actual way that the Witchers were made in the games, or are we talking about what happened in this show?
uh both. Well, I'm
Because
trying to connect the two.
oh, okay, my bad. Sorry.
So it's all typically it would require a long transformation. It is not a good process. Like
Right.
it is like a horrendous like mutilation of like magic and just certain mixing of parts and stuff, I believe, from like I don't know if it's creatures, but other known worldly things. And it's supposed to be like horrible, like almost basically like torture, and which is why I forget the exact percentage rate, but like 98% die from
Mm.
because even the testing of like becoming eligible to attempt to be a Witcher, that usually eliminates majority of the kids that are chosen.
Yeah.
And then once they even get there, surviving the process alone is another thing.
Right.
So, which is why somebody like Geralt is like, he's supposed to be like a purposely like, uh, what's it called? Like special, super powerful, like not one in a million, but
Well, it's just what makes the Witchers command the respect that they do because they are like 1% of the population. Like
yeah, it's
they're
almost in the
special.
sense of like if you imagine like a special operator.
Right.
They're so minuscule and like how many of them there are that it adds to their, uh I don't know what you call it, like their
They're legend.
yeah, I guess, like they're badass.
Yeah.
And in this show, it basically happens in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They just give him a potion, he chokes it up and it looks black and stuff, which is similar to what it kind of looks like whenever they use certain elixirs and stuff and potions. And he kind of just like and screams and stuff, and it's like that's part of it, but not quite all of it.
Yeah. So they go by this obelisk and they get transported into another dimension where there's a monster, and then they kill the monster by portaling out and closing the portal on the monster, which cuts the monster in half and kills it. And it's this like weird worm thingy. But they use the monster to create the potion.
Yeah, like they harvest its
The
heart.
Yeah, and they do their magic voodoo stuff to create the potion, and then they like connect. It's the chick. I don't think I have a picture of her, but it's
the ghost lady in the beginning.
yeah, she like create like she's able to like connect people and things or whatever.
Yeah.
It's part of her magic, and so she connects Fial and this monster thing and merges them together. But yeah, I the major problem I have with it is that it was severely underexplained for that being like the whole reason this show was made.
Yeah.
Like the whole like the name of the movie or the show is Blood Origin. Like the whole reason behind this show being made was that it tells the story of the first Witcher being created, right? And I am interested in the person behind the first Witcher, right? Like I'm interested in knowing more about Fjall and his life and whatnot.
Yeah,
Like
he's a
that's
cool
fine.
character.
Yeah. But I want to know what it took to make the first Witcher and how it happened. And based off of all of the explanation that Geralt gives and what's Geralt's like dad name?
Um,
Frick.
Vesemir.
Vesemir, like based off of their explanation and like the way they talk about it, it's like not a good thing
No, it's
at
horrible.
all.
Like
I
becoming witchers, because what they're doing is they're basically kidnapping children,
right,
typically orphans, and they're subjecting them to this insanely rigorous fucking training, like I said, which usually takes years in itself. And then once they survive that, if they do, they get put through this fucking like
it's basically torture.
creepy mad
Yeah,
scientist like experimental shit, and like you're not even guaranteed to survive that.
right. So the way they talk about it and the way they explain it created this like image in my head or this expectation of it being just a brutal and like crazy process of it happening. And in this, it was like, oh yeah, jazz hands in the air, woo, Witcher,
Yeah.
ta-da, and you know, like it looked painful and looked like it sucked, and obviously his relationship with Eiley is what helped pull him through. But yeah, it was very underwhelming to me. It was very underwhelming of the compared to the way that they made it seem to be in the actual Witcher, which I don't understand because it's not like these shows are made by two different studios or it's made by Netflix. Like both things are made by
Yeah.
Netflix. So the fact that they don't have continuity with that is to me unexcusable, and is a major oversight in the show because now the show becomes about the partially the life of Fjall, but then like the final battle after the creation of the Witcher. Which if that's what you wanted to do, then like, you know, maybe just make a whole show about that. But this was supposed to be us learning how Witchers were created and how they are created and actually seeing what it takes to become a Witcher, which we didn't, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I think at its core too, what really bothers me about it is that it takes away something that I feel is very important that the Witcher original like first season especially kind of shows is that in order to get things generally it requires sacrifice.
Right.
And so to create a Witcher, and even for mages, because we saw it with I don't know why I can't remember her name.
Oh,
Yennefer.
Yennefer. Yeah.
Everything, and this kind of relates to like
Right. Chaos.
alchemy and magic and all that kind of stuff. To create something, you usually have to destroy something,
Right.
or eliminate something or whatever, give up something. And so for the Witchers to actually get through everything, they typically like fucking lose their eyes and like it gets replaced with the all these augmented abilities to them,
Right.
which gives them their powers on top of all the training that they've accumulated. Same thing with the mages, with chaos and all of that. Even with Yennefer, like she, hated how she was born and stuff
Right.
and all her
Deformities.
yeah,
and
deformities
stuff,
and stuff. And so what does she do? She went to the whatever specific mage person and was like, "Hey, make me look like this." And what does she have to give? She gives up her fucking womb. She
Right.
can't have children, and that's what she sacrifices to gain all of her whatever the fuck she
The
wanted.
beauty that she wanted. Yeah.
And I feel like that's missing from this story
100%.
is you're creating this Witcher, but you're just like, here you go, you're a Witcher.
Right.
And now I'm supposed to believe that you're just, fucking crazy powers and stuff, which that alone in the final battle stuff, like, whoa. That is not what I was expecting to happen, and was not a fan of it.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. So the final battle, the whole idea behind it, or the whole like plan within this show, ladies and gentlemen, was that Fjall and Eiley and I don't remember her name, but whatever. Their plan was to go and kill the queen that killed all of their clan people and whatnot, and so they're on their way to Zentrea to kill her, and she's guarded by this monster, so they needed to make a Witcher in order to beat the monster. Like they needed
Yeah.
to make a monster in order to beat the monster,
Right.
right? So they make him, and they get to Zentrea, which I'm gonna gloss over part of the or how they get to Zentrea because that's a whole topic that I want to talk about in and of itself. But they get to Zentrea, and then they just like unleash this dude, and he like turns into like a werewolf kind of thing.
Yeah, he kind of just turns into this fucking like abomination.
Yeah, which when I was watching it, I was like, "Whoa, this is like crazy escalation of powers compared to the other Witchers."
He just turns into the Hulk.
Yeah, but in my head, I was like, "All right, you don't know anything about the Witcher. Maybe this is like something that some of the Witchers were capable of and stuff, and maybe there is precedent to it." But so my question is, do you like, is there like,
No,
or is that like
fuck
just
no. This is like,
yeah,
if this wanted like, if they just literally made a brand new thing and wanted to have this fucking monster in it, cool. It looks cool, but it's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is this? This is not The Witcher anymore.
right?
And I don't like it. You know, like I said, I like that Fjall becomes it, but what he becomes is a totally
Not a
different
Witcher.
thing.
Yeah, to me, he becomes a monster. He's no longer a
really,
Witcher.
like literally, yeah.
Like the whole idea behind Witchers was that they pull from both sides, right? Like they're partially
They're not
monsters,
human. They're not fucking mages. They're
right?
not monsters. There's something
There's
in
somewhere in
between.
between. But this, he literally turns into a monster. Like he roids out and like gets deformed and just looks insane and goes insane.
Pulls Jekyll, like
Yeah,
Jekyll Hyde kind of thing.
yeah. I will say it was kind of cool how he killed the monster, throwing the sword, but
Oh yeah, it
yeah,
looks cool and
like,
stuff. It's just like
the action was cool, but it's just like, what the hell?
yeah, what is going on?
Yeah, like where was this? Oh, the whole entire Witcher series. Y'all could do
Like,
this?
It's like when did exactly. It's like when did Witchers become this?
Yeah, I didn't know you guys could
So
Hulk
that's the
out.
thing I hate. It's like he's supposed to be the first Witcher, but
Right.
he's not really.
Right.
Like he doesn't like as a representation of what you see on screen. He's not really. And then he has a fucking baby with Eiley, which
Oh,
that
right.
to me is probably going to be more closer, I imagine, to this just
Yeah,
like, you know, monster maybe. But at the same time, it's like, why did you have all of this?
yeah,
You should have just started from that or something. I
yeah.
don't
The
know.
baby and
Make some bullshit
flashback sequence.
yeah,
or whatever.
beginning thing, and then just start from there, and then the baby's born and blah blah blah. I don't know.
No, I think it would have been a better story, and it would have been more representative of what they were trying to tell. Like I said, they marketed this show with the intention of explaining to us how the first Witcher was created and that story. And if the first Witcher really was Fjall, then what does that mean going forward for or the Witchers that we know? Like, is that going to manifest itself later on in the show
Well,
that's
the thing
coming
that's gonna
up?
suck is like you're kind of like you're making problems for
Right.
later. I mean, we already know there's gonna be problems anyways, just because of the whole political crap that's happening with Netflix and Henry Cavill and
Yeah.
The Witcher as a series in general. But this just amplifies that even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see whether or not it
And then surprise, the end
Manifest
of the
itself.
show, humans have now entered the world,
Yeah.
and now it's like then they have the person posting up the, like warriors wanted for all these monsters that are roaming around
Yeah.
the world. This is why Witchers were created,
right.
And it's like you ended on the beginning.
So that was something I wanted to ask you as well. Is like because we talked about it a little bit in the first episode that because they basically show the conjunction of the spheres,
Yeah.
right at the end,
A little bit.
and to my like I stated, to my knowledge, the conjunction of the spheres is when monsters and humans entered this world, right, into this realm, and like you said in the original one, that was why The Witcher was created, was because all of a sudden these fucking monsters started appearing and people were dying and getting
Yeah,
eaten and shit.
they needed something or someone
Yeah,
to appear so that they could help everybody just not die all the time.
yeah. So now it'll be. I don't understand where that, like, where is the story heading? Like, what is the order of events here? You know what I mean? Like,
It's confusing. It's like, well, now I guess we could get into the whole rise of humans and killing off all the elves, I guess.
yeah.
And then humans learning, well, getting trained by the elves with chaos and magic, and then using that against them, of course. Uh,
But isn't
but
that
we
all?
already,
Isn't all of that supposed to happen before the first Witcher was made?
yeah, it's like we kind of already had all that briefly in the first Witcher.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to explain that, this is the show that it should have been it to explain.
Yeah.
It's like, how many more shows can you do before the beginning of The Witcher? Because that's the thing, right? It's like
Yeah.
there's still a decent amount of stuff you can do, but it's like this is supposed to be like a one and done prequel.
Right.
So,
But now it
what
seems
value
like
does this add?
it doesn't.
Nothing.
Ultimately,
In
because
fact, it takes away from the future of the show.
to me it detracts from the authenticity and the authority that Witchers command in the original show. Because now it's like, all right, well, anytime a monster appears on screen, how come you don't just roid out and just murk
Which,
that
to be
monster?
fair, in season 2, Witchers kind of get shit on,
A little bit, yeah.
unfortunately. But at least in the first season, like Geralt fucking annihilates everything. Like even Vesemir at least has the clear presence in season 2 that he clearly is like equal to maybe because he's older now, lesser to Geralt, but clearly was the original. He's the reason they witches survived.
Right. Yeah, it was disappointing. The last thing that I want to talk about that was really disappointing for me was this whole story arc. It was really disappointing. So, this character, don't remember her name.
Cian, I think.
Whatever. She's one of the last ghost tribe, or she is the last of the ghost tribe, right? And I love Michelle Yeoh. We literally just got done doing an episode where we praised Michelle Yeoh for her acting capabilities and whatnot, but I really think she was just subpar in this show. Like, I don't know how you felt about it, but like from pretty much, like I voiced my concerns and my opinion in the first initial impressions, but after that, once they had that first battle in like the church or whatever with the door, and then she got cut, and the blade was happened to be poisoned for some reason.
I fucking hated that fight, dude.
And she was like poisoned, and she was just like dying slowly, and like just that whole scene and like period or events, just like I feel like her acting was just so terrible. It was so bad. A lot of their acting was, but like for someone of her pedigree to be acting at that poorly of a level was really frustrating for me to watch. And then this whole idea of her being a double agent bullshit, like I didn't like it at all. At fucking all.
Yeah, it was kind of dumb.
So she, for those that haven't watched it, she's the last of the ghost tribe, right? Eventually it comes out that Fial, who they were headed to Zentrail with the idea that Fial was going to be able to get them into the city through like a back entrance or whatever that he knew because he was the because he was the king of the guard, right? Or whatever, the lead captain of the guard. Comes out that there actually is no, back entrance or whatever. And so she like gets upset because now their whole like plan is useless and they're going to have to fight their way in. And so she goes and like white flags into the city somehow and makes a deal with the Empress saying like, hey, I'll give you Fial and all these people if you give me back my sword. And
yeah, I do want to say like I don't think it was the fact that Fial like being stupid, getting drunk and revealing that he has no plan, which was stupid in itself. I don't think that's what brought her to do this. But when she does go like, hey, I'll give up all these people, all these guys if you just give me back my sword. Like, that's just stupid.
Yeah. Ultimately, she ends up using the soldiers that the Empress takes with her as like bait, and then she has cell swords where she routed up from somewhere.
So what she does is, and it again, it's like we don't get to see a lot of stuff that goes
Yeah.
on in the background of this show. She goes, holds up the people for money and the sword. She's like, okay, and she gives her the money. She takes that money, goes to the buys mercenaries off screen,
Yeah.
takes all these troops that she was asked or given, takes them back to the people, and then surprise ambushes all of them. Just kidding, I'm on the good side
Right.
still.
Horrible storyline, horrible story arc in my opinion. And then that's how they get into Zentrea, because now they all portray themselves as soldiers and that they captured Fial and whatnot, and then they're returning, and the whole like Trojan horse thing. I I'm not a huge fan of it, but I could swallow it. But just the double crossing happening behind the back, and like you said, the off screen story plots that you have to just guess happen in order to make the things that happen on screen make sense. It's just horrible, and it's just like, why are you doing this to us, like what? And then to me it detracts from her character and from like is she gonna cross us again, like is she actually on the bad side? And what I actually would have preferred is if she had just turned bad. Like I would have preferred her to just be like, you know what, fuck these guys, like they're all idiots, acting dumb, getting drunk the night before we go on this raid, like, you know what, fuck you guys, I'm just gonna look out for me. Like I would have preferred that. Like,
I would have rather heard you like, screw you guys, I'm going home.
Like I would have
just left.
I would have. Like I think it would have been a more authentic representation of what somebody would have done in that situation. Especially because throughout the rest of the show, the first 3 episodes, there's no like indication of her having this unwavering like sense of integrity and whatnot. Like they never implore that and say like, oh, she's gonna always do the right thing, so we shouldn't suspect her when she goes off to do bad things. So it's just, I don't know. I think ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, what hurts this show the most is horrendous storytelling. But horrendous storytelling because you tried to condense everything into 4 episodes. And it wasn't even like 4 longer episodes. It was literally 4 45-minute episodes.
Yeah.
So you're trying to condense a whole story that should take like 8 to 10 episodes, in my opinion, into 4 episodes. And you're in that weird spot where like it's too long to be considered a movie type of story, which obviously there's different storytelling like methods for movies versus TV shows, right? So when you go longer than that, you open up the opportunity for you to do more. But if you don't go long enough so that you can flesh out all the ideas and show the proper things you need to show in order to make everything make sense, then you run into this, where you have your audience guessing or assuming that things happened off screen to make what happens on screen make sense. And then it's just not enjoyable. And it's frustrating. So, in the end, I don't like this show.
Yeah. I do want to finish on one final thing about this show before we end this. And it's actually one good thing about the show, which is hard to say. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Meldorf, which is played by Francesca Mills. She's the dwarf. I fucking love her character.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I will give you that.
She was the best character by the end of this show.
Yeah.
I think she plays it very well. She has a great attitude as her character. She's super badass. I love her dynamic between like her tragic backstory of her wife,
partner,
lover dying and taking that and imbuing that into her hammer.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And she beats the shit out of people throughout the show. And just her, personality, it's great.
I will agree with you that it was great. It was probably the most fleshed out and most interesting and dynamic character storyline of the entire show. And it probably is the only redeeming factor of the show.
And they still, even with her character, when I think it's in the beginning when she's first introduced, they still do the stupid like you don't get to see
Oh,
what
her
happens when she
destroy everybody in the
walks through
house.
like the tavern or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can hear her fighting people, and then she crawls out and she's like, "Well, that's it," and
Yeah.
moves
She's like,
on.
well, we'll find him
Yeah,
eventually.
I wanted to see her bashing on people.
Yeah.
Come on,
I show her absolutely annihilating
yeah,
everybody.
'cause that's fucking sick, dude.
Yeah. I will agree. She did phenomenal. And yeah, I loved her. I loved her character. It was good.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, we explained to you guys enough of why you shouldn't watch this TV show, and giving you guys enough of an explanation of what happened, so that going forward, watching season 3, right? Season 3, yeah, of The Witcher.
Yeah,
Yeah, season 3, and eventually we know season 4 is coming. Whether or not we're going to be excited for it is a different question, but
yeah,
going forward, you should have all of the pieces to the puzzle that you need to know, so that you don't have to watch this show. Okay, because I really don't recommend wasting your time. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let us know down in the comments below if you guys enjoyed the show, because I would really like to know why and why you guys enjoyed it. But let us know down in the comments below what your guys' thoughts are on The Witcher Blood Origin. We appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for all the love and support. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. Check out our social media down in the description below. Catch you guys in the next episode.
bye guys.